Hello, welcome back. Hope everybody's well. As you can see, I've got the trailer more or less built for the Faun SLT 56, which is a German tank transporter. The top of it, fairly simple, it's just a one-piece deck. You can't ask for much simpler than that, can you? And underneath, fairly simple, not too heavily detailed running gear. It's comprises of 2 static axles and 4 steering axles. As you can see, they've made an attempt at putting some of the steering mechanism in there, but not very much of it. The axles, the hub ends do turn, but that's about as far as it goes. And there's a couple of toolboxes on there, spare wheel carrier, mud guards, landing legs for when you're loading, they go down, I'll show you in a second or two. And as always, I've wired it up. On this one, the wiring all runs underneath that long piece of framework there, which in real life I'm guessing would contain the steering mechanism. So that's where I'm up to. Oh, they call it the crane on the instructions. I would call it a gooseneck or a swan neck, whichever you prefer. It's entirely up to you. With a lot of pulleys on it. There's quite a bit of detail on that bit. So where am I up to? As you can see on the instructions, it starts at page 1, and the deck is one complete unit. A couple of bits that go on, and all these ribs, 12 ribs that go on, and it leaves a big channel down the middle. It then tells you to put the axles together. And as I say, you're making 4 steering axles, and that's the 4 steering axles. When you put the pins in, this pin I12, it goes right the way through, and if you want it to steer, you need to melt the end rather than glue it. And the way I melted the ends on mine, that didn't sound right, did it? The way I melted my ends is, these are dental tools. Cost a couple of quid on Amazon, and you know, they're really useful. You get a couple of really sharp pointy picks, one with like a boat shaped end on it, and sorry I'm boring you, but one with a scraper end on it, and they're all double ended, you know, so they're really quite good for a couple of quid. You can't argue. You get a little tiny dental mirror as well. Good for looking around corners, I suppose. We'll see. Anyway, what I did and what I've done is heat the end up and then just touch it onto the axle pin there. Just touch it and it'll melt it over, just enough so that it won't pop out. So that's those, and that's page 1 done with. What have I got then on there? Nothing, that's it. Oh, and putting the wheels together. The wheels go together fairly easily. What you may have to watch though is that there are 2 different size holes in the wheel. There's a large hole which takes the plastic pin, and a small hole, I bet I can't find one now. No. I think that's a small hole. There's very little difference in yeah, that's a small hole. And on the fixed axles, it's a steel axle that goes through, and it's a smaller hole. Who knows why they might have done that? But there you go. So try to be careful when you're putting your wheels on, because if you put the big holes on the steel axles, you're going to find that you can't get the small holes onto the plastic axles. And let's move over to the next page. Again, this long piece here runs right down the centre of the trailer, and I left it off for quite some time. There's a lot of pictures to go with this. I'll mingle some of them in with the video and then put the rest at the end. And what I've done is I've run the wiring, as you can see, the 2 connectors that go underneath the 5th wheel on the tractor unit. They will go, bits of wire everywhere, they will go into those 2 connectors there, and when the trailer's on, when it's coupled, you won't see any of that. It will all disappear. I know you can see one now, but I haven't connected it yet, but that will all disappear, so it looks very neat then. I was going to put the the Susies on and run all the wiring through the end of the Susies, but because I decided to put everything on individual switches, it simply didn't, it didn't fly at all. There was too much wire. So all the wiring goes underneath there. What I've done is I've changed all these reflectors, these G2 reflectors, and I've put them in as marker lights in the end of each one of those supporting ribs. And then the wires run through here and all join up underneath. The two marker lights, they're not on this one. I'll come to those in a second or two. So that's fairly easy. All that's fairly easily done. Moving rapidly on. You're going to love this bit when you come to do it. These are the springs. I thought this would have hydraulic suspension on it, and when I did the unboxing I even said it would have hydraulic suspension. It hasn't. It has a weird kind of fixed spring suspension where there's a big block of steel with a spring hanging out of it, and then a shock absorber goes from the axle into the bed of the trailer. So you've got this big lump of steel, a spring and a shock absorber, and that's your suspension unit. All well and good. You glue these things together. It comes in two pieces. You glue them together, and there are 12 of them, and believe it or not, they're 12 different sizes. I've never seen anything like it. So what you need to do is, just bear with me a second. What you need to do is spend a happy hour with a ruler first across the springs to make sure that they all land perfectly on the ruler. Otherwise, of course, your wheels aren't going to touch the ground. Some are going to be up and some are going to be down. So the first thing I did was set the springs so that I got them as near as possible to being level all the way along. One of them just wouldn't play at all. This one here. Oops. That one there, and you can see underneath I've had to put a little plastic wedge underneath it to hold it up. Once you've got those on, then when you come, I put the axles on next and leveled those up, and as you can see I've got that just about right. That one's about 0.25 of a mil out, I think, but anyway. And then I put the shock absorbers in, and you've got to keep re-leveling it all the time because nothing on that thing is level. I promise you, it really is. And you can't level it with the ground and look at it because there's different parts of the machine. So what you need to do, as I say, on the inside of the brake, what would be the brake hub, brake drum, all the way along, and if that matches, then in theory, all those wheels should land on the floor. Good luck with that. Only took me a couple of hours. So that's that, and you build up the two front non-steering axles. Now oddly on this, it's got the air chambers, brake chambers on the axles, and it's got the push rod and then goes into the back of the brake drum, as it would do in real life. So that's on those two axles. On the rest of the axles, nothing. And I really can't see a trailer this big in real life with this sort of weight only having brakes on two axles. The back of the trailer would just, these would lock up and it would just push it along. It'd be a devil's own job to stop it. But anyway, that's as maybe. The kit is what the kit is, so it's, I think it's a bit of detail missing. What I can't find though is I can't find any pictures or videos of the underneath of this trailer to see if it was braked, and I'm very curious about it now, because if it wasn't braked in real life I wouldn't like to drive it. But anyway, there we go. That's how the kit, well, that's all we're concerned in, was a kit. So then you put the springs in. As I say, be careful with it. You're going to have to check your level over and over and over again, and the two front axles. What you've got here as well is F34 and F35, which are the rear marker lights. And again, I've changed them for LEDs. So an LED on there, and the front of it will be white, the back of it will be red, and the top of it there will be black as rubber, and a little bit on the front, a little bit on the back will be black rubber. And I've done those on 4 places, 1, 2, because you go on 4 corners, 3 and 4. It does all work, but I'm not going to be able to show you that today, I don't think, I'm afraid. We'll see. And so that's that. As I say, most of this goes together really easily. It says to put the spare wheels together. There is a problem with the spare wheels. On the instructions it says this part is J4. So I blindly forged ahead and glued J4 onto J3. Makes sense, doesn't it? And it wasn't until I came to making the rest of the wheels that I realised that J4 is actually J7. So if you're doing this kit, you need to change the number on that to J7. Otherwise you'll do what I did and have to prize it off and then make. And then find J7, find out why it's gone wrong. And as I say, it's J7 that goes on the back. And that makes up the 2 little spare wheels. So that's that. As I've just mentioned, it says to put the axles on and the shock absorbers. 2 mud guards that go on. Couldn't ask for easier than that, could you? What else have we got? It then goes onto the swan neck. Again, really very easy to put together. It's self-explanatory all the way along, and I just follow the instructions. It all goes together. Because I've wired it, the wires go up on the inside there, and then along here. I put them in little tubes, and then to glue them down, wrap the tube in a little bit of masking tape, and then glue the masking tape to the frame. It makes it so much easier. And again, in there, the same on the other side. You can see the wires running through there, and then down. And as I mentioned earlier, they all then run down the centre of the trailer there. So that's all of that. That goes together really very easily. If anybody knows or can tell me what those are for, I would be very grateful. Thank you very much. I've looked on the videos and I've looked on the reference pictures, and it would appear that they're some kind of a rod, and I just can't make up my mind what they're for. Maybe a measuring rod to check the height of the whatever it's carrying. But if anybody knows definitively, I'd like to know, please. Excuse me. Again, really quite easy. If you're going to wire this up the way I have, there's a light in the, oh, you can't see that. If you're going to wire this up the way that I have, there's a light in there, so you're going to have to put that light in as well, otherwise it's going to look a bit odd. and your light on that one goes in there. Excuse the back missing paint, I've just primed it and I've just been scratching the mask off all my little lights along there. But that one there, again, it comes through the back and then goes through and into there. But if you didn't do that before you put it on, you'd be in trouble. You wouldn't get it on there. What else? Nothing really. That's all. It's all self-explanatory, isn't it? There's not a lot, nothing difficult there. Moving on to the next page. A couple of little boxes to put together, and they go onto the frame. Two legs that go together and go onto the frame. Again, nothing difficult. There's a piece of PE to go on that spare wheel carrier that goes across the front here, which I haven't put on yet because I wouldn't be able to get the wheels back in. So that'll go on before it's finished. Spare wheel carrier there. As I say, it's dead simple. It really does go together really very easily. Landing leg for the other side, and a couple more, another toolbox to go, one on each side. And again, really quite easy. Nothing difficult there at all. I'm not mad keen on this PE, where's it gone? PE here for those frames. It tends to bend. You can see it's got the corners bent just through normal handling. Oh, did I knock the camera then? Oh, we got the guides on the deck. This is a piece that I really don't know what it is. There's one on the tractor unit as well. I'm fairly sure they're to measure the height, but who knows. It's I26. Again, the marker light J6. I haven't put theirs on. I've put mine on. As you can see, it's on the end there. Another one of these rods on the side, and that's about it on there. Ramps for the rear. Ramps for the rear, dead easy. I've not taken the masking tape off that one yet. There we go. I didn't take much to get off, did it? And there's a beacon on the top of the light there. That goes on the top of the light there, as you can see. I've replaced theirs with my own, and the wire comes off, it goes underneath, and it will go into that connector there. Then I'll paint that green, you never see it. So that's what that's all about there. Get that off. And needs a bit of patch up. As I said, I'm sure we all have the same problem when you're painting stuff like this. You've got to end up patching up little bits of it. There's the other ramp, all nice and neat. I've set it so that it's all glued together because I'm going to have them upright like that. Yeah, so that's that. A snatch block into the deck there, and that, I'm sure, I don't want to teach anybody how to suck eggs, but that doubles your pulling power. You put a cable around it and it doubles the amount of power on the pull. This here will be a roller. It will be painted silver when I detail it up. But as I say silver, rusty metal, because that will revolve with the cable running over the top of it. So that's the snatch block there. A fog and a reversing lamp on the back of the trailer. I can't remember if I told you how I did these on the tractor unit, but that's they. One will be painted red. This one's painted red with a black edging around the side, and this one will be painted white. Well, it won't be painted white, it'll be left white with a black edging around it for the rubber cup that it sits into. And basically all I've done is I've taken the original part, which is I15, drilled a tiny hole in it, I don't know if you can see that, and put a tiny LED right through there, pre-wired LED right through there, and then glued it on this side, and then put some masking tape around it, about 2mm of masking tape, and then filled it with resin. Leave it for an hour or two until it goes off, and you've got a light, simple as that. The backlights are already painted, the indicators and the running lights on there. I'm guessing on this that the running light and the brake light will be in the same cluster, on the same bulb. It's quite common in Europe. And There's a couple of other bits to go on. The white marker, I think I've mentioned these before, there's a white cross on them. It's so that if you're running without headlights and you're following somebody, you should be able to see that white cross. It's also got a PE cover that would be painted the same as the rest of the machine that covers the white cross up if you need to. There's a couple of other bits of PE to go onto it yet that I haven't put on, but you know, it's not 100% finished. It's got to be detailed up yet. The landing legs that I mentioned, you can either set those down if you're going to have the ramps down, or in the stowed position if you're going to have the ramps in the upright position. That's the flashing amber beacon, which I've replaced with our own. So that's that, all of that. As I say, there's nothing particularly difficult at all. The instructions get a little bit sketchy here now. It tells you how to put the rest of the ramp together, loading ramp together. A couple of little bits of PE to go on there. This PE 13, I've had a look at it on the sprue. This PE 13, I've had a look at it on the sprue, and it looks a little bit delicate to me. So I'm going to replace that. I'm going to make my own tensioner and steel cable, and they would come over the top. Basically come from the deck here up, round through that block there, and then hook onto there, just to hold the loading ramp in position. That is about it. And that's, as I've just explained, the leg down, and it would be up if it was stowed and the ramps were up here. The guides, there'll be 4 over, and I'm going to put them in here. This is the trouble with these really big pieces, they disappear off the camera when you move them. What else have we got? This is basically once it goes together with the tractor. We'll put the Susies on. They're plain hoses. They are on the original, on the real truck, so bits of silicone hose to go on there. I might use wire, I might use silicone, I don't know, we'll see. And that's about it. That's everything. Then it goes on to painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all detailed up. I'm going to get all the little bits of it finished and put it together on the tractor unit, and then we can do a final reveal. What I might do, in fact what I will do, is I'll hook this up to the tractor and show you the working lights. So you can see the indicators flashing on the back there. There's a lot of lights on at the moment here, so it's hard to see the lights. The video lights drown them out. And when I turn these on, you get the fog light and the reversing light. You've also got the 2 red lights there. As I say, they're being drowned out a little bit. You've got all the marker lights down the side, including the 2 big ones. You've got the same lights on the back of the trailer there, on the back of the unit. You can see the working lights on the back of the unit, and yeah, you can see the indicators flashing there on the unit, and might as well put the beacons on for a while. You can see those flashing as well. So when it's all put together, it will all work nice and neatly. I'm not going to show you the inside of the cab because it's difficult to turn it around at the moment. There we go. Any questions, any comments, please leave them in the boxes below. It'd be fantastic if you could share the video and like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you again next time. Thanks ever so much for watching. Ta-da!